A very good evening and welcome to Uctv News. I'm Sunday Gloria Aboch. The headlines.
To call an emergency stakeholder engagement.
Coming up tonight, Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago calls for emergency meeting scheduled for tomorrow
to address this impasse.
I am yet to get the details of what is in the...
Dismissed engineer David Luimbazi is ready to face investigation.
The fundamental is one, the lack of funding led us to this situation.
These and more coming up in our bulletin tonight. Once again, this is the Uganda Catholic Television. I am Sunday Gloria Aboch with the Wednesday edition of Uctv News. The news now in detail as the Kampala City Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago has scheduled an emergency meeting for tomorrow, September 25th, to address the next steps following the dismissal of Kampala Capital City Authority Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka, her Deputy Engineer David Luimbazi, her and Director of Public Health Dr. Daniel Okello. Key issues on the agenda include concerns surrounding casual workers and the growing garbage problem in the city. Lukwago has also announced the immediate reopening of the bidding process for individuals with land suitable for waste disposal running from today until October 2nd.
Kampala in general. Yes, yesterday, shortly after the announcement was made, we made some preliminary remarks in response to a decision taken to relieve some senior managers or top managers here of their duties. But now we have the official statement, official position on the way forward. As you are aware, yesterday afternoon the country received a communication from State House to the effect that 3 senior officials within the institution had been dismissed forthwith. That is the Executive Director, KCCA, the Deputy Executive Director, Engineer Luimbazi, as well as the Director Public Health, Daniel Okello. And in the same statement, the Minister for Kampala was instructed to appoint one of the members of staff here to serve as the ED in acting capacity as well as Deputy ED. There was also a directive to cause the process of getting a new getting replacements for these positions commenced by way of adverts placed in the papers by the Public Service Commission. All those processes, we understand, require time. But as we speak right now, the institution is in sort of a quandary, in that the leadership, management is not fully constituted as we speak. Yet they play a critical role in the functioning of the institution of KCCA. You are aware, under this law, Section 19, the office of the ED, who is the head of public service in the authority and the head of administration of the authority, as well as the divisions and wards. The ED in this case, under Section 19 here, is the head of public service in the authority and also head of the administration. To call an emergency stakeholder engagement tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to address this impasse. We have invited the members of SEC here. You can see the Deputy Lord Mayor and the Executive Secretary is here. We have invited the Speaker, KCCA, Deputy Speaker, and all the councillors. We have also invited all mayors of the Division Urban Council, the speakers of the Division Urban Councils, and obviously, actually I should have started with the MPs, all the 10 MPs of Kampala. We have invited all of them. We have also requested the RCC to be part of this engagement because we want to put our heads together as stakeholders, as leaders in the city, and chart a way forward. This is not a matter that can be decided single-handedly. You realize that without the ED and Deputy ED, or the office of the ED being vacant right now, even the City Executive Committee meetings cannot proceed. We were meant to sit today ahead of some council sittings to have some preparations made, but we are constrained in that regard, given the fact that the Executive Director is central in execution of our business, and as I highlighted earlier, a key advisor to, not actually advisor, a facilitator, the key facilitator of the State Executive Committee meetings. So right now, ourselves, our hands are tied. At least formally, we cannot sit as the State Executive Committee without management. So this reinforces our position that we urgently need a stakeholders engagement. For the record, even the council cannot proceed, cannot sit. Why? Because business is generated from the State Executive Committee, and we have to do it in concert with the top management. And for that matter, we'll have no choice but to have a stakeholders engagement tomorrow. So hopefully colleagues who have been required to or requested to be part of this engagement will honor the invite. Keep time tomorrow at 10 a.m. to have all these matters thrashed out so that we can move in tandem and take a single file direction.
Now, the recently dismissed Deputy Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority, Engineer David Luyimbazi, has expressed his readiness to face any criminal investigations as directed by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni following the President's decision to sack KCCA Executive Director Dorothy Kisaka, her Deputy Engineer Luyimbazi, and Director of Public Health Dr. Daniel Okello. The Criminal Investigations Department has been tasked to look into the case. Speaking to media before handing over office, Engineer Luyimbazi stated that he would refrain from commenting on the Inspectorate of Government's report until he receives full details.
Well, to begin with, I don't want to use this forum to contest what was stated in the dismissal letters of our engagements. The issue is that as KCCA, we needed to decommission Chitezi over about 8 or 9 years ago. Due to lack of funds, we couldn't decommission Chitezi. Had we decommissioned Chitezi, this situation would have happened. The failure to decommission Chitezi was a result of lack of funding, was because of lack of funding. It was not because of the laxity or failure to fulfill our duties as staff of KCCA. Now, the lack of funding also is not because of government's laxity. Our treasury has limited funding as well. Many activities remain underfunded every financial year, amongst which was the decommissioning of Chitezi and the securing of a new site for taking our garbage. So I'm yet to get the details of what is in the IGG's report, but the fundamental is one, the lack of funding.
And away from matters of KCCA to a church story, the Archbishop of Kampala, His Grace Paul Semogerere, has called on politicians and the public to embrace a dialogue and a mutual understanding as a key to maintaining peace and justice in Uganda. Archbishop Semogerere made this appeal during a homily at a mass, or rather Holy Mass, organized by the Kampala Archdiocese Justice and Peace Commission to commemorate the life of the former Chief Justice Ben Kiwanuka. The event was held at Pope Paul Memorial Hotel.
In 1983, when Madam Mary allegedly appeared to those young children, wanted to refer herself as the Queen of Peace. And as we celebrate this champion of peace, Benedict Kiwanuka, I wanted to share that good news that even Madam Mary is happy to see that the people who are concerned about peace and can gather in a day like this one and talk about this very important subject in society today, for today and for future generations. Today we gather to celebrate Peace Month, commemorating the legacy of Benedict Kiwanuka, a champion of justice and peace. We reflect on his courage and conviction, inspiring us to promote peace, justice, and human dignity. From the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, we are challenged in our understanding of family and relationships. Jesus' words may seem surprising, even radical. You can imagine those who respect for elderly and parents, that the family comes, you're very busy, and somebody tells you your mother has come and wants to say something to you. And this boy says, who is my mother? Who is my family?
Now, as Uganda gears up for the upcoming general elections come 2026, the government has been tasked to ensure the safety of journalists who cover chaotic political events. The plea has been made by Gilbert Sendugwa, the Executive Director of Africa Freedom of Information Center, during a joint media briefing with the Uganda Human Rights Commission, Twaweza, and the State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Baluku Kabyanga, about tomorrow's International Day for Universal Access to Information 2024.
During the past election period, many journalists have been subject to tremendous violence and acts of harassment, often by security operatives during political rallies, which involve opposition political actors. While briefing journalists about tomorrow's International Day for Universal Access to Information celebrations, Gilbert Sendugwa urged the government to ensure that state security operatives respect press freedom especially when the country is heading for the 2025-2026 general elections.
Government should ensure that restrictions on freedom of expression are reasonable and justifiable in line with international human rights standards. Number three, government should protecting journalists from harassment, particularly during politically sensitive periods such as elections. Number four, enhancing media diversity, encouraging the private sector to open more audiovisual outlets and ensuring fair access to public information.
The chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, Mariam Wangadia, advised the government to stop procrastinating and consider integrating digital media platforms into the primary modes of disseminating government information to the public.
That it's a high time government engaged digital news platforms and bring them on board in informing people about government programs and updating them as and when necessary. I'm saying so because of the efficiency, not just efficiency, but the speed with which the online media houses disseminate news and information.
The senior programs officer at Twaweza East Africa, Marina Nyanz, suggested that the government should consider reducing internet tariffs as an effort of promoting the right to access of information, an entitlement supposed to be enjoyed by everyone.
Once that announcement was made that, government is planning to reduce the tariffs on internet, there was an upload. 3 people clapped. And instantly, there were questions. When is that happening? How much is going to be reduced? There is that yearning. And I'm sure that people still want to hear more on that.
The State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Baruka Byanga, revealed the government's commitment to reduce the internet tariffs in the country and also ensuring internet coverage, even in the remotest areas of Uganda.
We are also working on affordability of internet. Right now, our government internet has reduced from $350 to $75 per megabyte per second. But we are still giving to only public institutions. But very soon, we shall roll it out to also give to the citizens and the public, because very soon its management will be under the new company, Uganda Telecommunication Company Limited, so that now they can go in the world to compete.
In the same vein, he disclosed the government's intention to amend all communication laws into one standalone law as an effort to promote the public's right to seamless access to information.
We are going to amend the laws, the communication laws, and want to make one law, because the communication sector is becoming very hectic. Because of technology, everything is changing every day, and therefore you may end up amending so many laws at the same time. But we want now to get all laws and make one law. So I think when we are already processing that, and we are going to consult some of you, so that some of those responsibilities we can shift them to Human Rights Commission, because all that is involved in amendments.
Every year, the whole world commemorates the International Day for Universal Access to Information on the 28th of September to motivate the significance of the global right to access to information. Uganda is set to commemorate the day at Makerere University under the global theme, mainstreaming access to information and public participation in the public sector.
Thank you very much, Joseph Kabale, for that news report. And now, government of Uganda is set to introduce stringent laws aimed at regulating errant money lending institutions, fleecing vulnerable Ugandans by charging them exorbitant interest rates. While briefing a journalist about the recent cabinet resolution, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Chris Baryomunsi, said that the government has acknowledged the plight experienced by Ugandans who run to unregulated money lenders that have prompted it into action.
The growing concern within the country that there is a growing tendency for a number of individuals extorting money from members of the public through this service of money lending. We have a law that requires any person who would want to go into the business of money lending to be registered and be licensed. But again, we took note that there are very many unlicensed individuals who pose as money lenders, and they are fleecing many unsuspecting Ugandans. And therefore, we are examining the law with a view of strengthening it and removing all the weaknesses that are within this legislation. But after a careful discussion and a detailed discussion by Cabinet, we did agree that we advise the public once again that nobody should involve in the business of money lending unless you have been registered and you hold a license. And therefore, Ugandans out there who are following this discussion, you should check out if you are going to borrow money from an individual or an organization, please verify that this individual or this company is properly registered.
And with that news story takes us off for a break. Uctv News returns.
Uctv, good news for all.
Back, you're watching the Uganda Catholic Television. Uctv News continues with me, Sunday Gloria Abuoj. And now government has renewed its commitment to empower and improve the welfare of elders by promoting and protecting their rights. While briefing a journalist about this year's International Day for Older Persons, the State Minister for Gender and the Elderly Affairs, Dominic Mafabi, said this shall be illustrated through the soon-to-be-launched new policy and the new approved laws set to be adopted by the Attorney General.
In the new policy of 2024, land has been handled. The policy has been approved by Cabinet, and the Attorney General has promised to give us supporting law to this land grabbing and so on, so that in the future, whoever grabs land from the old person and is proved, it will be criminal and it will be criminalized. In actual fact, a lot of emphasis has been put on this, and we can see this law by the Attorney General coming out as the policy also of 2024 for older persons is being put into practice. And the policy is going to be launched in Masaka on Tuesday. International Day for Older Persons, which is the UN Day that is celebrated throughout the world, and it falls on 1st October of every year. And for this time, it's going to be on Tuesday, 1st October 2024. We are joining the whole world to carry out these celebrations.
Your Excellency, sir, I now present RO 01673, Major General Silver Moses Kayemba, for receipt of certificate of service, certificate of recognition, and souvenirs. The next, sir, I now present RO 06147, Brigadier General Fred Machwa Kalala, for receipt of certificate of service, certificate of recognition, and souvenirs.
Your Excellency, I stand before you here on behalf of my dear colleagues that are retiring today. And as you saw, we are 5 in number. Your Excellency, on behalf of these colleagues, first and foremost, I would like to thank God who has enabled us to reach this day. I thank him for the love and good health. Your Excellency, you've heard, we've been in the army for 38, 39, 42, and me 45 years. To stand here to say that we are living in good health, may God continue to bless us, because this is wonderful to me.
You had how many of them have served for more than 40 years? Others more than 30 years. I congratulate you so much. Secondly, I thank God for blessing the UPDF. The General Kayemba was talking about the attitudes of people in New York, where he's based. Those people are appreciating UPDF because it acquired what other groups did not. The issue of correct diagnosis of society. That was this has been the real issue in most of the world affairs. So therefore, when it comes to army building, we have no problem. We could not associate ourselves with the bankrupt line of sectarianism in the army. So therefore, I congratulate you for joining this effort and maintaining those principles and serving all these years, and now you are retiring. But as you retire, listen carefully to what General Kiding told you. I struggled very hard to make sure that as you retire, you get a good package. That's why I kept the casualty unit at Mbende. There are something like 5,000 people there. I said I cannot allow a Ugandan who is injured and crippled in the army to go to the village when we are still getting these low salaries, and be a pauper there, be a maskin there. Let them stay in the army. They are there like 5,000. The reason why I could not allow them to go back to the village until we solve the issue of retirement package. Now, when it came to the senior officers from major up, it was the same idea. We cannot allow these people to go back to the village until we solve that problem. And that's how I persuaded the government. I said, I have been mobilizing our people to work for nothing, nothing or very little. For the last, since 1971, this is now like 54 years. We've been working either for no pay or low pay. But now that people are retiring, we must make sure that they retire with something reasonable. And that's why the government agreed to at last improve the salaries of the soldiers and officers, and also the retirement package. So that retirement package is very good for you. No, don't gamble. That's what Uctv was telling you. These quacks, I want to put money here, it will produce money quickly, what? Go for things which...
The Deputy Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement, NRM Party, Rose Namayanja Nsereko, has called on leaders in the Busoga region to address the pressing challenges affecting ordinary citizens in the sub-region. Speaking during an NRM mobilization tour organized by the party's secretariat, Namayanja emphasized that meeting the needs of local communities should not be dependent on the president's intervention despite the region's ongoing struggles. She further pledged to work diligently to ensure that the NRM regains its stronghold in Busoga ahead of the 2026 general elections.
We are here meeting the leaders, different categories of leaders, party leaders, local government leaders, RDCs, members of parliament, and members of the fishing community, those engaged in sugarcane growing and those that are doing agriculture and wetlands. The intention is because as a party we emphasized or we took socio-economic transformation as a flagship pillar for this term of office. Now the reason we are emphasizing on these because they touch directly on wealth creation and development of the homes and families. We wanted to know from the horse's mouth, from the leaders themselves, but also the stakeholders themselves that are involved, to find out the challenges that we had they are facing in fisheries, communities, in sugarcane growing, but also in wetlands. And we have had a number of issues like pledges that have not yet been fulfilled for the sugarcane growers, especially the pledges of having alternative sources. And then the other issue is for them to have their own factory as the sugarcane growers, and then other pledges. So we are going to follow through and see that this is done. Secondly, we have also heard from the fishing community that they are harassed on their work, and we had the FPU here, and we have seen challenges here and there. Tomorrow we are going to meet the fishing communities themselves in the field, and we are going to continue following up to ensure that this is harmonized.
We are very much aware that the NRM Secretariat, led by the Directorate of Mobilization, did some research in Busoga and Uganda. And the purpose was to find out the issues that could have led to poor performance in the 2021 elections. And good enough, were able to discover quite a number of things. Some of them were issues of the fishing communities, challenges of sugarcane growing, and many others. Now, of course, as a secretariat, we realized that it was important for us to come back to the people and be able to interact with them to find solutions to these problems. Now, good enough, we had an opportunity to interact with the ministries, giving them information about what we discovered. But in addition, the NRM government has done quite a lot. Issues of service delivery is one of the things that we also discovered. So, in order for us to appreciate the concerns of the people, you cannot sit in office and you think you'll be able to appreciate what is on the ground vis-a-vis what is given on paper. So, as far as service provision is concerned, for instance, we had to come on the ground to see for ourselves what is happening. But in addition, we also wanted to hear from the people. There are issues, for instance, in the fishing communities where we realized it was important for us to come with a soldier, at least somebody from the Ministry of Defense in the fishing protection unit to come and address these issues. Because the people are waiting for answers. The people want to be given hope. They want to see that the party or the government has solutions.
Dr. Betty Katinture, an eye specialist from Mulago Hospital, is educating rural communities about common eye diseases and the importance of early treatment. According to Dr. Katinture, while eye diseases are prevalent, many patients are unaware of proper treatment options. She emphasized that although various conditions can lead to blindness, most are treatable. Dr. Katinture also highlighted the difference between long and short-sightedness and explained how both conditions can be effectively corrected.
Creating eye disease awareness to the rural communities by Dr. Betty Katintre, an eye doctor from Mulago Hospital. She says that eye diseases are very common, though most patients are not aware of the right treatment.
Eye diseases are very common, although patients are not aware, and this specialty is not everywhere, because now, like ophthalmology department, you find it only in regional referrals, like in these health centers and district hospitals. This is when we have it's like a refractive error, so you find that the patient is able to see things that are nearer to them better than the things that are far from them. While for long-sightedness is where the patient is able to clearly see things that are far, and yet what is near them, the objects that are near them, is difficult to see. Yeah, but we usually correct those with glasses, although we also have refractive surgeries. But what we do commonly here is we use glasses to correct them. You can just be born like that. You're born with maybe a small eyeball, and then you find you're being long-sighted, or you're born with a big eyeball naturally, and you find you're short-sighted. But there are also other causes, like when you're having like allergies, long-standing allergies, and the patient keeps rubbing their eyes, you find they're still going to get those refractive errors.
The misconception of people using urine to treat their eyes. She says that this causes more harm because urine causes more infections.
That is a misconception, and some patients have used urine and incidentally got healed. It's just by mistake that they get healed, because some patients anyway are meant to get healed, whether they use anything or nothing. Like you find they have an eye condition, maybe an infection or something, you find it is self-limiting. So when it is self-limiting, whether you've used anything or not, it is supposed to go. So when they put urine and they see that actually they have recovered, they tend to think that it is the urine that has healed them.
A routine eye checkup is recommended, and keeping the eyes clean all the time to keep the eyes functioning properly.
What I understand is we are supposed to seek health care, a routine. We are supposed to be doing a routine eye checkup, so that if there is anything, maybe we intervene early enough. Yeah, but for eye conditions to come, of course, we have to take care of our eyes well, wash hand hygiene and washing the faces well to avoid infections. Yeah, basically that. And for other diseases like cataracts, we've said, so some diseases, systemic diseases like diabetes also can lead to those cataracts. So early screening of that diabetes and well controlling it can also reduce.
Story by M. Frank and Kisto Henry.
Thank you for being a part of our newscast tonight. I am Sunday Gloria Aboch. UCTV News returns tomorrow, same time, same place. Good night.